In chemistry, pH, meaning potential of hydrogen, is a numeric scale used to specify the acidity or alkalinity of an aqueous solution. Aqueous is defined as like or containing water and watery. Thus, an aqueous solution is a solution in which the solvent is water. Well, the human body has more than 100 million cells, and each cell consists of protoplasm, a living substance that is 70% water, thus meaning the human body is over 70% water, meaning that human beings are predominantly aqueous. In layman's terms, we are predominantly made of water. A pH test for humans not only determines our levels of acidity or alkalinity, but how much oxygen we have in our cells, as well as our cellular voltage, and more on this will be explained later. Each and every cell in our bodies is comparable to a battery, positively charged at the outer wall and negatively charged inside the wall. Thus, every cell generates its own electrical activity and magnetic field. A healthy cell has an electrical charge of about 70 millivolts, negative 20 to negative 25 millivolts, serving as the measurement of electrical activity. The pH scale ranges from 0 to 14, with 7 being neutral. The body is naturally regulated to be alkaline, meaning it has a pH of 7 and over, making our cells and thus our bodies electrical. Anything below 7.0 is acidic. Human blood has a pH of 7.4. Anything less than that runs the risk of disease developing. As our bodies become more acidic, our pH levels begin to drop. More and more oxygen is leaving our cells. This has serious consequences for our bodies. Disease manifests only in an acid base, and if the body is in a prolonged state of acidosis, disease will manifest. In order for a person to heal and reverse disease in their bodies, one must be versed in acid-base physiology. Understanding this basic physical chemical principle can save your life and the lives of those you love. Unbalanced acid-base regulation is one of the foremost leading causes of disease. Acidic changes in blood pH induce powerful regulatory effects at the cellular level. This has serious consequences for our bodies, and left untreated will eventually damage organs and will be fatal. The acid-alkaline status of the body is regulated by the kidneys and the lungs. Acidosis is caused by an accumulation of acid or a significant loss of bicarbonate. The major categories of acidosis are respiratory acidosis and metabolic acidosis. Respiratory acidosis is a condition that occurs when the lungs cannot remove all of the carbon dioxide produced by the body. This creates a disruption in the body's acid-base balance. Body fluids become excessively acidic. Respiratory acidosis can result from lung diseases such as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and severe asthma. Metabolic acidosis is a disturbance in the body's acid-base balance. This causes excessive acidity of the blood. Metabolic acidosis can occur as a result of many different conditions, such as kidney failure, diabetic ketoacidosis, and shock. One of the first signs of having a low body pH, or a decrease in cellular oxygen, are infections. Our bodies contain 1 trillion microorganisms. However, most of these are inactive as long as oxygen is present. When oxygen levels drop, these microorganisms become active and begin to eat the nutrients from surrounding healthy cells. One of the problems of these once dormant microorganisms coming alive is their use of their digestive enzymes. For example, a person whose body pH has dropped and develops Streptococcus bacteria on their tonsils will suffer from a sore and painful throat. If left untreated, this bacterial infection can enter the person's bloodstream and cause damage to their heart valves. It can also damage their joints. The same process can happen anywhere in the body. Let's say, for example, you have low voltage in your gallbladder. This means that your gallbladder will hurt, have decreased oxygen and inefficient metabolism, and microorganisms will be eating the nutrients from the cells of your gallbladder. The toxins produced by these microorganisms can enter the bloodstream and cause brain damage. The same effect goes for every other organ in your body suffering from an autoimmune problem. It is simply microorganisms attacking and surviving off other healthy cells because your pH or oxygen levels are too low. As blood pH begins to drop, your cellular voltage begins to drop, and your cells will go from an electron donor to electron stealer status. This is known as a change in polarity. When voltage drops to 30 megavolts or a pH of 6.48, you have cancer. If you look at blood under a high-powered microscope without the bloodstains or other chemicals, you will easily identify many microorganisms. These microorganisms do not have cell membranes. As voltage and oxygen levels drop and as toxins build up in the system, you will see these organisms change from spherical to rod-shaped to yeast-like and finally fungus with hyphae. The association of finding fungal-like forms in the blood with the development of tumors was reported as long as 1840 and has continued to be reported ever since, although the existence of these forms has generally been denied by most microbiologists and oncologists. The development of the German microscope known as the ergonom makes these denials no longer credible. This microscope is capable of viewing up to 15 to 40,000 times and allows one to see even viruses in their live state. Most cancer patients are in a state of acidosis, and most likely have lived in a state of acidosis for a prolonged amount of time before cancer was first diagnosed. If most cancer patients were to be tested for their pH levels, they would exhibit a pH of 6.48, or a cellular voltage of plus 30 megavolts, which is the most acidic level. This acidity of body tissue drives out the health-giving oxygen, and the body is not producing enough new cells to counteract the cancerous cells. Once in this cancerous state, where the body is producing more cancerous cells than new healthy cells, malignant tumors will begin to grow. As cancer cells begin to divide and make surrounding cells cancerous, the cells then rapidly spread to other tissues in the body. This process of growing and spreading is called proliferation. When cancer cells migrate from one part of the body to another, the cells become metastatic. Cancer cells break away from the original tumor, travel through the blood or lymph system, and make a home somewhere else in the body. That is why some people with breast cancer later develop cancers of the bone, liver, brain, or lungs. For tumors to survive, they need blood, and they take all the blood they need through a process called angiogenesis. Angiogenesis enables tumors to grow blood vessels. This helps them grow larger and larger until over time they impede normal body function. This leads to organ failure as other organs are no longer getting the blood and oxygen they require to function. Apoptosis is a natural mechanism that the body uses to clear out cells that are damaged and ineffective. The technical name for cell suicide is apoptosis. This phenomenon is known as programmed cell death, and it helps maintain the health of your cells. For some reason, cancer cells no longer die. They evade apoptosis. What cancer cells don't and can't evade, however, is an alkaline environment, meaning a person's body has a high pH and is full of oxygen. Cancer thrives in an oxygen-deficient, acidic environment, but perishes in an alkaline high pH environment. Cancer cells cannot survive in an oxygen-rich environment. At a pH slightly above 7.4, with a salivary pH of 6.7, cancer cells become dormant, and at a pH of 8.5 and a salivary pH of 7.8, cancer cells will die while healthy cells will live. Another consequence of having your body pH levels acidic is that you are at risk for degenerative diseases such as diabetes. When acid waste accumulates in your body, your cells are unable to absorb the nutrients they need. When cells don't work properly, your organs don't work properly. This includes the organs that regulate blood sugar, which in turn provides nutrients to your cells. Without blood sugar regulation, the body can become diabetic. Blood sugar balance is critical to your body's proper functioning. Blood sugar, commonly known as glucose, is the primary source of fuel for the body's cells and is particularly critical to the brain and the eyes. The body's blood sugar level is regulated primarily by the pancreas and liver. The liver stores excess glucose and releases it when needed. The pancreas secretes insulin that helps carry glucose into the body's cells, and it secretes glucagon that triggers the release of stored glucose in the liver. When either organ fails to function properly, blood sugar becomes excessively high or low and the cells begin to starve. A highly acidic pH level puts the pancreas, liver, and all the body's organs at risk. Acid that is not filtered out or stored can attach to and harden the cell walls, further preventing the cells from absorbing nutrients. Eventually, the cells die, starting with the glucose-dependent eyes and the extremities where it's more difficult for nutrients to reach. Blindness and gangrene can result. Excessive amounts of acid waste in your body can cause serious kidney damage. Kidneys are the body's last resort filtering mechanism. If the kidneys don't work properly, toxins build up and poison your blood. The results can be fatal. To keep your kidneys functioning well, you need to reduce the overall acid level in your body. When too much acid accumulates and the liver can't process all of it, the remaining acid is sent to the kidneys to be filtered out of the bloodstream. The kidneys were not designed to filter this type of acid waste. They were designed to filter out the normal byproducts of metabolism, not the excess acids that accumulate in your body through improper diet and nutrition and through exposure to environmental toxins. Heavy metals in the water supply and in some food sources, undigested food that turns acidic, excessive amounts of minerals from highly processed foods, and acid-forming soft drinks and over-the-counter drugs. Each of these substances taxes the liver and, in turn, the kidneys. Kidneys bombarded by acid waste become so stressed that they can't even filter the normal byproducts of metabolism, such as lactic acid. The kidneys have no ability to store acids. They must either filter the acid waste from the blood or become clogged with acids. Because the kidneys have such a fine network of capillaries used to filter the blood, they become clogged much more quickly than the major arteries. The accumulation of acids in the kidneys causes the formation of kidney stones and ultimately causes kidney cells to die. Because kidney cells cannot be regenerated or repaired, the remaining cells have to work that much harder to filter substances from the blood. To help with the filtering process, the heart increases the flow of blood plasma to the kidneys, which in turn elevates blood pressure. As the kidney cells continue to die, the risk of kidney failure increases dramatically. Harvard-educated Dr. Jerry Tennant determined how to determine cellular voltage by a simple conversion from knowing a person's pH levels. pH is shorthand for potential hydrogen. pH is really a measurement of voltage. Measuring the electrical frequency of our body cells tells us about our health. According to Dr. Tennant in his book, Healing is Voltage, salivary pH is a rough indicator of cellular voltage. In order to have an accurate salivary pH test, you must be tested either the first thing when you wake up, before you drink any water, or 2 hours after a meal. Test it with pH strips. Urinary pH is a rough indicator of the voltage in the fluids around your cells, in particular the lymphatic fluids. Your urinary pH should be about 6.5 after you get rid of your first morning urine. The first morning urine represents the acid you got rid of during that night. However, if your daytime urine pH is less than 6.5, you are dumping more acid because your extracellular space has become too acidic. After measuring the pH of the solution, one can convert that to voltage. A voltage of 400 megavolts is the same as a pH of 0. A voltage of negative 400 megavolts is the same as a pH of 14. A solution that is neither an electron donor nor an electron stealer is called a pH of 7. When normal, both should be 6.5 pH. If you add 0.8 to 6.5, you get a pH of 7.3. This equates to negative 20 millivolts. In a sick person, the pH levels are below 0 megavolts, or below 7 pH. In a healthy person, the pH levels are above 0 megavolts or 7 pH. With this understanding, one can see that a pH of 7.35 is the same as a voltage of 20 megavolts. A pH of 7.45 is the same as a voltage of negative 25 megavolts. Thus, we see that all cellular biology texts tell us that cells are designed to run between negative 20 and negative 25 millivolts of electron donor status, or a pH of 7.35 to 7.44. Since healthy cells are designed to run minus 20 and minus 25 millivolts of electron donor status, meaning a pH of 7.35 to 7.44, all disease occurs when you are acidic. Acidity means your pH levels are below 7, signifying your cellular voltage is too low to function properly, and your cells have become electron stealers. Electron stealers cause damage, are a pH from 0 to 6.9, are acidic, are free radicals, are the positive pole, are destructive, and at the atomic level spin left. And here is a chart of cellular voltage corresponding to cell pH. Minus 50 megavolts is a pH of 7.88. Minus 45 megavolts is a pH of 7.79. Minus 40 megavolts is a pH of 7.70. Minus 30 megavolts is a pH of 7.61. Minus 30 megavolts is a pH of 7.53. Minus 25 megavolts is a pH of 7.44. Minus 20 megavolts is a pH of 7.35. Minus 15 megavolts is a pH of 7.26. Minus 10 megavolts is a pH of 7.18. Minus 5 megavolts is a pH of 7.09. 0 megavolts is 7, which is neutral. Plus 5 megavolts is a pH of 6.91. Plus 10 megavolts is a pH of 6.83. Plus 20 megavolts is a pH of 6.65. Plus 30 megavolts is a pH of 6.48, becoming the most acidic. Today, the nutritional value of food is measured by the amount of calories delivered by macronutrients, whether that's proteins, carbohydrates, or fats, and what micronutrients supply, whether that's vitamins, minerals, trace elements, and enzymes. But little is said about the amount of light that food is capable of storing in the form of electromagnetic frequency. It has been shown that plants store light in their DNA in the form of biophotons, the smallest physical units of light. 90% of the food consumed and sold by supermarkets is devoid of light. In order to raise one's body pH or voltage, you have to consume raw plants, vegetables, and fruits because they are the richest in biophotons. The more sunlight energy we are able to absorb and store, the greater our ability to heal and maintain optimal health. In order to maintain good health and allow your body to heal, our bodies have to be able to produce new cells. To make a new cell requires a voltage of minus 50 megavolts, which is a 7.88 pH. You can take all the medications you like and do as much surgery as you like, but you will not heal unless you have a pH of 7.8, meaning a cellular voltage of minus 50 megavolts, alkaline food sources, and a lack of acidosis in your body. Plants are the only organisms capable of absorbing sunlight and transforming it into their own food. What's most important about nutritive sources is the amount of light that food is capable of storing in the form of electromagnetic frequency. It has been shown that plants store light in their DNA in the form of biophotons, the smallest physical units of light. The works of Dr. Fritz Albert Popp have proven this. The energy of the sun is sent to the earth through thermal radiation. Plants receive these frequencies and use this light from the sun to turn carbon dioxide and water into sugar. When we eat the sugar or glucose from the plants, we are indirectly absorbing some of the biophotons received from the sun, which made the glucose in the plants in the first place. Biophotons are the smallest physical units of light which are stored and used by all biological organisms. Biophotons are received by our body cells through our eyes, but also from digesting them from the foods that we eat. Biophotons is what raises our cell voltage and increases the pH of our blood, which rids our bodies of disease. The capacity to store biophotons is the true measure of the nutritive quality of your food. The more sunlight a food is able to store, the higher the quality and nutritional value it has. NASA studies show that the sun's output contains 528 Hz as its central frequency. 528 Hz can also be found in oxygen as a result of the photosynthesis of plants. In fact, all of the botanical world is resonating at 528 Hz frequency. Scientists have even found that 528 Hz frequency repairs DNA. Biophotons and chlorophyll is the optimal electrical transducer and power carrier that delivers biophotons from sunlight into your cells, even down to your DNA, feeding your DNA light and thus your cells oxygen. However, we also ingest biophotons not only from eating raw plants but from being exposed to the sun. Alkaline plants, such as described and listed by Dr. Sebi, who proved that alkaline plants rid the body of disease by raising the pH of a person's body, work best. Given that we are aqueous and that water has memory, it's important to realize how significant an impact our pH levels have on our health. Just as water is responsive to sound, so is water responsive to our overall diet. If water can crystallize into geometrically beautiful shapes when exposed and oscillating at a high frequency, so they can do the opposite if our pH levels are acidic.